Okay, it's Sid, he, the she, and I just want to talk about why it is that some people cannot agree on things. So one of the things was, no, I'm not talking about soul contracts. I'm talking about maybe why it is that we have silence. Silence is the ultimate way of expressing the fact that you cannot fully contemplate anything with language. Because as soon as you use language, you divide. You divide things into numerous parts with language. Now, the biggest problem that people have is they don't realize that they're playing the part in a picture show here on planet Earth or anywhere else. You are always an actor, always acting. And the scripts that come to you by, no one knows how they come or where they come, but they come to you. And sometimes the scripts that come to you are inexplicably bizarre. Now, if you have a bizarre life, you are a random person and you are a major change agent. Now, this is what we all are doing on planet Earth, and it's why our lives seem so bizarre sometimes. It's because despite the fact that we're not getting things that we think we humanly need, we are getting what we really need. When you agree to be a person who is going to be one of these kind of people, you are not being anything but that change agent. And by using words, you sometimes come across as someone who is dark. If you consider that darkness, in other words, unconsciousness, is never too much known, the things that are in the unconscious are not necessarily things that you are ever going to expect are going to crop up. And that is simply the way it is. If you consider others that are very fundamentalist Christian, these ones have got a very strict morality, and their morality conflicts with other people who are not fundamentalist Christian, for example. Each of these kind of ways of having a set of culture, for example, are different, what we call reality boxes. And if your reality box is so much different than someone else's, you're just never going to be able to put yourself in their shoes and walk a mile in their moccasins. So, trying to explain basically why it is that some people don't get the same results from the same kinds of things. Now, people who are into Judeo-Christian Islamic beliefs believe some things that other people that might be into something completely different they just don't mix. And even trying to use synchronism, which is trying to say, well, they used to do that with the Greek gods and the Roman gods. They would say, well, this god is synchronized with this one, but it's not synchronized, but it's a different kind of word. And basically they said it's the same person, but it's not necessarily true. And especially if you've got these kind of cultures that are so different, that they don't have the same ideas at all. These kind of beings are not necessarily going to follow anybody else's rules. And whatever these rules are, like some of these extraterrestrials say, well, we've got law of one, and we've got to follow personal sovereignty of whatever being it is. Other reality boxes, they don't follow this at all. And they don't and then some people say, well, they're evil. No, not necessarily. It's just that that's just not their culture, and it's just not, they don't look at it the same way. So if you're oppressed by something that you think is dark, it may not consider itself dark. It may just be considering itself doing what it normally does. So how do you overpower these ones? You do it simply by being yourself. And if you be yourself, most likely your being is going to always be there. If you're not being yourself, then you're going to be thrown around, buffeted by the different winds of change that come around. And these winds of change are part of the collective consciousness in the whole universe, in the multiverse. So codes of conduct don't apply to beings that don't follow these things. Why is that? Because we're living in what's known as the is. The is. The is, you don't limit the is the main idea. And you can't limit the is. As much as you figure, well, I've got all these universal laws. No, because even universal laws are not the is. The is just something beyond anybody's comprehension. It is beyond, and that is why so many bizarre things can happen. There are no limits on the is. So there's your lecture, and for the purposes of this one, I want to remind you that there is no one right reality box. It implies that there are wrong reality boxes by me just saying that. So, you see, this is the problem with languaging. Languaging always separates things into polarities. And if your polarity is always looking at things from, good and evil, then you're going to have real trouble getting your head around the fact that, your reality box is that you're putting a polarity on somebody else's reality box. Now that we have concluded this lecture, I just want to say that no one understands what it's like to be someone who can never be limited by the is. And that would be a polarity. Is that true? Don't limit the is. So it may very well be that in your reality box, some beings are not even, for example, souled beings. They could be pure spirit. And a pure spirit being could act as the most ultimate temptation for anyone. And the temptation is, well, whatever you end up doing. And you cannot stop that because you are basically here and you're part of the is. So whatever the is brings you is what you get. It's very much kind of shamanistic and sorcery. How does sorcery work? Well, spiritual powers would be one way of looking at it, like the Siddhis, S-I-D-D-H-I. Another way to look at it would be, you can't put words on it and it is what it is. And trying to figure out why the spirit does this, well, the spirit's always trying to discover itself in new ways. So, that's the way it goes. That's the best way it's been explained to me. The spirit is the spirit, and it's some people say it was originally one and then it wanted to split into many different pieces of itself to experience itself. Otherwise it was very bored. A human anthropomorphic kind of word. But if you were the is, wouldn't you want to do these kind of things? And that is why we have what we have today. I'm Harry Weaver, the narrator of Infinite Bob 99. Thank you for listening. Please like, share, subscribe to this channel, and tell your friends. And if you want notifications, just click that little bell-like thing on YouTube, and it will notify you when new videos come up on our channel.